Wait here, Junior. I'll be right back.
Aw, look at the cute little kitty cat. Look at his chubby little cheeks and paws. Oh my god. Look at that, he's so hungry, aw.
Holy shit, he's eating everything! Somebody stop this fucking fiend before he devours everything! His stomach is like a bottomless pit. He ate the lasagna too.
It took me 3 days to make that lasagna!
Garfield Cat. He needs no introduction. He's one of the most beloved and iconic cartoon characters of all time. He's chubby, he likes lasagna, he hates Mondays. He is the pioneer of lazy doofus cat characters in entertainment. He walked so that other animated cats could run. In 2004, the gods decided to show mercy to us, to relieve us of some of our pain and suffering when they released a live-action Garfield movie, a masterpiece, a cinematic treasure. Garfield the movie encapsulates the feeling of pure hatred for Monday, and the funny orange feline is the star of this movie. John, Odie, and of course Garfield, voiced by the lovable Billiam Murray, go about their days and try to find their place in the world. Throughout the course of his ridiculous adventure to rescue Canine Odie, he gets up to quite a lot of hijinks and tomfoolery, and it was quite comedic when the fat cat ate the lasagna similar to the comic strips this movie took its inspiration from. Spoiler alert. He switched his icky cat food with a nice plate of lasagna. The camera shows Garfield with a mischievous grin on his face, chowing down on the food as John is forced to wash his mouth out after eating some cat food. John is a silly Billy for not realizing. Bill Murray Cat and Odie Dog both learn to work together despite their differences in order to escape the clutches of one of the most dastardly villains in the Garfield verse, Happy Chapman. Meanwhile, John struggles through the pain of being a single father to Gar and his growing pains of accepting Odie into the family. In the end, he was able to grow some balls and get some action from Jennifer Love Hewitt, that dirty dog. It was a classic film and should be put in a time capsule for future civilizations to study and get an idea what real art looks like. This movie released to universal acclaim back in 2004, and it was filled with heart, and they could have just left it at that and been done. But then they released a sequel 2 years later. It raises the bar and improves upon everything that was established in the first one. I didn't think it was possible, but Davis Entertainment and 20th Century Fox fucking did it. Remember a minute ago when I said John had to struggle through single fatherhood? In the Garfield movies, John is Garfield's father, not this stupid sack of shit. John is Jonathan Q. Arbuckle. Garfield 2024, starring Garfield as Chris Pratt, is an upcoming political commentary on the dangers of artificial intelligence, because some of the jokes in the trailer are so fucking horrendous that they had to have been written by an AI, right? Not a single joke in the trailer landed. You know, when something isn't like super funny, but it's entertaining enough to get that little gust of air to blow out of your nose.
You've obviously never been in an Olive Garden that's run out of breadsticks.
It couldn't even get me to do that. The movie gives me very similar vibes to Scoob, and that movie turned out horrendous. The beginning scene for both films is almost exactly the same, with the main human guy being sad and alone, and the main animal guy shows up and they bond over food. Scoob was at least able to keep Scooby and Shaggy together and realize that their relationship and chemistry with each other is a big part of what makes the Scooby-Doo franchise so enjoyable. It's the peanut butter and the jelly, the chips and guacamole, the mold that keeps it all together. The Garfield series has a similar dynamic, but with Garfield and John. The setup seems to separate Garfield and John for most of the film, and those two bouncing off each other is where most of your Garfield humor is going to come from. Garfield's sarcastic remarks and John's well-meaning but often confused efforts to understand him are a staple of the franchise and have kept audiences LMAOing and ROFLing for decades. When you strip away that dynamic and replace John with Samuel L. Jackson Cat or Snoop Dogg Cat or Hannah Waddingham Cat, those turn into SMHs and more often than not. The only thing that I can kind of praise the movie for so far is the animation and art style. Based on the trailer, it's not breaking any ground like Spider-Verse or Puss in Boots, but it's passable. There are a few things I noticed, like when Garfield runs off screen, and instead of doing a motion blur for Garfield, there's this little effect that gives it that comic strip 2D feel. Also, during this brief part, there's little anime speed lines while he's flying through the air, and when he's bouncing between the trees, the animators follow 2D animation principles like squash and stretch to give it that sexy, silly cartoony feel. There are flashes where it looks like some effort was put into the film, but overall the animation and art style just looks okay. Overall, I'm not very impressed with what I saw in this latest trailer. This movie has some humongous shoes to fill, following in the unstoppable legacy of the live-action Garfield movies. Chris Pratt just doesn't reach that same mix of sarcasm and dead inside as Bill Murray did, and John seems like he's gonna be a boring little shit in this new movie when the live-action John was super silly and goofy. I'm crossing my fingers, but I'm expecting a 4 out of 10. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.